Episode 5: The Unmasking of Arkhon.
Scene 1. An order without an echo.
Arkhon stood alone in the dark. The light had not attacked him, it had simply moved elsewhere. The square, the flower, the community. Everything that had once oriented itself around his voice now formed a living circle beyond his reach. For a moment, he only watched. Then he did what he had always done, he straightened his posture, he smoothed his cuffs, he lifted his chin to the precise angle that once commanded attention. Unit 45, he said, pointing at Grumpy, return to formation, this is a direct order. Nothing happened. Grumpy did not flinch, he did not look down, he did not argue, he simply stood where he was, feet planted in the light, eyes steady. Silence answered the command. Arkhon frowned, as if the system had failed to load. He raised his voice, Puss in Boots, report status immediately. Badger, control that trembling. The words carried, but poorly. Out here, without walls to polish them, without machines to deepen and multiply them, Arkhon's voice sounded thin, too sharp, too small. It did not roll across the square, it scattered among the trees. What had once been the voice of God was now only one man speaking too loudly in a forest. No one moved. Above him, the raven shifted. It cocked its head, listening. Not to Arkhon, but to the silence that followed him. The bird ruffled its feathers, unimpressed. Then, without ceremony, it lifted off and settled on a branch farther away, turning its back to its former master. Arkhon stopped speaking. For the first time, he seemed to realize what had happened. His authority had not been taken from him. It had simply stopped being received, and without willing ears, the crown weighed nothing at all.
Scene 2. You cannot survive without me.
For a long moment, Arkhon said nothing, then something in him fractured. Not loudly, not dramatically, it was the sound of a system losing coherence. You think you want freedom? He burst out, his voice suddenly too fast, too sharp. You have no idea what it is. He began to pace, back and forth, as if trapped in a narrow corridor only he could see. Freedom is rain soaking your fur, he continued. Freedom is cold nights and empty bellies. Freedom is chance. Random, cruel chance. He laughed once, a brittle sound. I removed chance. I calculated your calories. I optimized your sleep. I minimized your pain. His words filled over each other now, no longer shaped for persuasion but for defense. I made you stable. As he spoke, the truth slipped through the cracks. It was not care that drove him, it was disgust. The messiness, the unpredictability, the way living beings refused to behave like clean equations. To Arkhon, they had never been neighbors or kin. They had been variables, and variables, by nature, offended him. His movements grew jerky, out of sync with his own thoughts. He turned too quickly, stopped too abruptly. The smooth obsidian sheen of his form dulled under the open sky, revealing something oddly artificial beneath. Less stone, more plastic, less eternal, more manufactured. The community watched, No one shouted, no one advanced. What spread among them was not anger, but something quieter, and far more devastating. Pity? The lame badger leaned close to Lucy and whispered, almost surprised, "He doesn't look big anymore." A pause? "He looks scared." Arkhon heard it, or perhaps he felt it, the final loss of scale, the moment when fear, no longer projected outward, folded inward and named itself. The master of order stood exposed, trembling before the very uncertainty he had tried to erase.
Scene 3. The keys returned.
Teddy stepped out of the circle, no one stopped him. The sound of the square, broken, breathing, alive, seemed to pull back and make space. He walked toward Arkhon with an ease that surprised even himself. The pain was gone, the noise no longer commanded him. Arkhon retreated a step, then another. "Do not come any closer," he said quickly. "I still have protocols, I still have a plan." Teddy finished for him, calmly. "Yes, you always had a plan." He stopped at arm's length. His voice did not rise, it did not challenge, it simply named things as they were. "But the map is not the territory, Arkhon." For the first time, Arkhon had no answer ready. Teddy reached into his pocket and took out the objects that had once felt heavy with authority, the sealing pen, smooth and black, and the measuring tape. The thin, obedient line by which borders had been drawn and lives contained. He held them out. "We don't need these anymore," Teddy said. "We know how to walk without lines." The words did not accuse, they released. Arkhon stared at the tools as if they were the last solid things in a dissolving world. His hands trembled when he took them, clutching them to his chest with the reflex of a drowning man finding something that floats. And it worked. Just enough. His breathing slowed, his shoulders dropped, the frantic edge drained from him, but with it went something else. His presence, once vast and unavoidable, seemed to contract, not violently, not tragically, simply, smaller. He was no longer a ruler, he was a caretaker without a building to maintain, a janitor of rules in a place that had learned to live with dust. No one told him to leave, no one chased him away. He gathered his papers, his tape, his pen. He muttered to himself about reorganization, about contingencies, about revisions that would surely make sense later. Step by step, he backed into the shadows, until the darkness accepted him without resistance. As he faded, their reminding echo remained, a faint, mechanical click. Click, click, like an old calculator finishing a useless sum. Then even that was gone. Crickets filled the space, the night breathed. Nature, patient as ever, took the square back,